This video is designed to train your brain, starting easy and gradually building up to full-on NCLEX beast mode. SATA, select all that apply, select N, fill in the blanks, matching matrix questions, and yes/no style questions. Each one comes with clear explanations, not just of the right answers, but why the others are wrong. Stick around to the end and challenge yourself to think like a nurse under pressure. Let's get started. Select all that apply. A nurse is caring for a patient with a central venous catheter, CVC. Which of the following actions ensure a safe care environment? Select all that apply. Options: A. Use sterile technique when changing the CVC dressing. B. Flush the CVC with normal saline before and after medication administration. C. Allow the UAP to change the CVC dressing. D. Check the CVC site for redness or swelling daily. E. Use clean gloves when accessing the CVC port. F. Label the CVC tubing with the date of insertion. G. Administer medications through the CVC without verifying patency. Take a moment, look over these options, and think which ones you choose. Pause if you need more time. All right, here's the breakdown. A. Use sterile technique when changing the CVC dressing. This one is key. Central lines go straight into large veins, so infections here can be really serious. Changing the dressing with sterile technique reduces infection risk. So yes, this is definitely correct. Flush the CVC with normal saline before and after medication administration. Flushing keeps the line clear of clots and prevents blockages. It's a must-do step both before and after giving meds. So this is another correct choice. Allow the UAP to change the CVC dressing. Nope, unlicensed assistive personnel aren't trained for sterile procedures like this. Changing CVC dressings is a nursing responsibility to ensure safety. Check the CVC site for redness or swelling daily. Yes, inspecting the site daily helps catch early signs of infection or inflammation. It's a simple but very important step. E. Use clean gloves when accessing the CVC port. This might sound okay, but it's actually incorrect. You need sterile gloves to prevent contamination when accessing the port. F. Label the CVC tubing with the date of insertion. Tubing labeling is important, but the correct label is the date of last tubing change, not the original insertion date. This helps ensure tubing is changed on schedule. G. Administer medications through the CVC without verifying patency. Definitely no. You always verify patency to avoid complications like infiltration or extravasation. So the correct answers are A, B, and D. Sterile technique, flushing, and daily site checks keep the patient safe. Question 2. Select. A nurse is preparing to transfer a patient from the emergency department to the medical surgical unit. Select 2 actions that ensure a safe handoff. Options. A. Provide a verbal report using the HESBAR format. B. Allow the UAP to transport the patient without a report. C. Include the patient's recent lab results in the handoff. D. Delegate the handoff report to an LPN. E. Document the handoff in the patient's chart after transfer. F. Omit the patient's allergies from the report. Take a moment, look through the choices, and think about what makes for a safe, effective handoff. Pause if needed. Let's unpack these. A. Provide a verbal report using the SBAR format. SBAR stands for Situation, Background, Assessment, Recommendation, a clear, concise communication method. This is absolutely the gold standard for safe handoffs, so yes, this is correct. B. Allow the UAP to transport the patient without a report. Transporting a patient without a proper nursing report is unsafe. The nurse receiving the patient needs accurate info to continue care. So no, this isn't correct. C. Include the patient's recent lab results in the handoff. Labs often impact immediate care decisions, so including this info is essential. Yes, this is correct. Delegate the handoff report to an LPN. While LPNs play an important role, handoffs are typically the RN's responsibility to ensure accuracy and completeness. So no, this is not correct. E. Document the handoff in the patient's chart after transfer. Documentation is important for legal and continuity reasons, but it's separate from the actual verbal handoff. This choice alone doesn't ensure a safe handoff, so no. F. Omit the patient's allergies from the report. Omitting allergies is dangerous and can lead to medication errors. Definitely no. So your best choices here are A and C. Use SBAR and include lab results. Question 3. Fill in the blank. To prevent falls in an elderly patient, the nurse's most important action is to options. A. Keep the bed in the lowest position. B. Administer sedatives at bedtime. C. Restrain the patient during the night. D. Dim the room lights at night. Think about safety and fall prevention strategies for older adults.
Hey, if you're looking for a solid resource to practice questions and answers as you get ready for the NCLEX, I've got a recommendation that might really help you out. I recently found the Next Gen NCLEX RN Practice Question Bank, Big Book of Question Answer Practice, and it was super helpful for preparation of this video as well. If you're trying to get comfortable with the new next generation NCLEX format, this book is definitely worth checking out. It's got daily practice questions that are designed to reflect what you'll see on the exam, which is awesome because it gets you into the right mindset. Plus, after each question, you get detailed explanations so you'll not only know the right answer but understand why it's right and why the other options are wrong. That really helps you build your critical thinking, which is key for the NCLEX. I also love that it includes study tips and strategies specifically tailored for the NGN format. And if you're like me and need a little motivation, it has success stories and insights from other nurses, which really keep you inspired throughout your prep. If you're looking to practice and build confidence, this could be a great resource to add to your study routine. It's structured so you can stay on track and focus on mastering the material step by step. Just thought I'd share in case you're looking for something to really help with those practice questions.
A. Keep the bed in the lowest position. This is the safest approach. It reduces injury risk if the patient tries to get up or accidentally falls. B. Administer sedatives at bedtime. Sedatives can actually increase fall risk by causing dizziness or confusion, so this is unsafe. C. Restrain the patient during the night. Restraints can increase agitation and injury risk and are only used as a last resort. D. Dim the room lights at night. While dim lights might seem calming, poor lighting actually increases fall risk by reducing visibility. The correct answer is A. Keeping the bed in the lowest position is a simple but effective safety measure. Question 4. Complete the sentence to reflect safe medication administration practices. The nurse ensures medication safety by option 1 and prevents errors by option 2. Option 1 choices. A. Checking the 5 rights of medication administration. B. Administering medications without a physician order. C. Giving medications to multiple patients at once. D. Storing medications at the bedside. Option 2 choices. E. Using 2 patient identifiers. F. Omitting documentation of administration. G. Relying on memory for medication schedules. H. Administering expired medications. Take a moment to decide which 2 choices best complete this sentence about safe medication practices. Option 1, A, the 5 rights, right patient, right drug, right dose, right route, right time, are the cornerstone of medication safety. Definitely correct. B, C, D, all unsafe practices that increase the risk of medication errors. Option 2, E, using 2 patient identifiers, such as name and date of birth, is a critical step to prevent errors due to patient misidentification. Absolutely correct. FGH, all unsafe practices that risk medication errors or patient harm. So the best combination is A and E, checking the 5 rights and using 2 patient identifiers. Question 5. Matrix. Indicate whether each action is appropriate, yes, or inappropriate, no, for maintaining a safe care environment. Action, appropriate, yes, no. A. The nurse uses hand hygiene before and after patient contact. B. The nurse leaves a sharps container open on the counter. C. The nurse verifies the patient's identity before a procedure. D. The nurse stores a patient's chart in a public area. E. The nurse applies wrist restraints without a physician order. F. The nurse labels IV tubing with the change date. Take a moment to decide yes or no for each action based on what's safe practice. A. Hand hygiene before and after patient contact. Yes. This is essential to prevent infection transmission. B. Leaving sharps container open on the counter. No. This risks needle stick injuries to staff and patients. C. Verifying patient identity before procedure. Yes. Prevents errors like wrong site surgery or medication mistakes. Storing patient charts in public areas. No. Violates patient privacy laws like HIPAA. E. Applying wrist restraints without physician order. No. Restraints require physician authorization and are last resort. F. Labeling IV tubing with the change date. Ensures tubing is changed on schedule, reducing infection risk.